I want to welcome you to the show today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We have an author's edition today, and I am so excited about this because I absolutely love authors. I think that without authors, we really be all dumb. We definitely be dumb. We definitely be like no math, no science, no history. I mean, like, so I have an author today, and I'm just so excited to have him. He has his own book, Embarrassed to Be with Amy. We're going to find out why he's so embarrassed. I'm saying, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. So tell us about yourself. I mean, how did you know you were going to be an author? Not everybody wakes up in the morning talking about, oh, I'm an author. Not many people do that.
Well, I like to, hit topics that people are kind of afraid to do, and I like to explain deeply from the heart when I do it. So I like to. Well, I didn't know I was gonna be one, to be honest with you. I just had a lot of time on my hand, and I always have like ideas in my head, so I just went to work and started doing it.
That is kind of cool, though. I mean, you can just pick up something and say, I just want to be an author today. That's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know many people that do that either. So, okay, so let's go back a little bit. You said you had time on your hands and you wanted to write the book. What process did you go through to actually get to Embarrassed to Be with Amy?
Well, current society today is like really racial, and I looked at it like as far as interracial couples. I can imagine how like a black man would feel as far as dating a white woman, knowing controversy and all the situations that's going on right now in the United States. So I kind of put that in perspective and just kind of went off like that and just kind of went from my own experience a little bit.
You're right. You are totally right. I mean, people should be able to love who they want to love, regardless of color or ethnicity or where they're from or whatever. I mean, love is love, right?
Yeah, but what really made me write it also is that there's also that history of the United States, of course, of black people. And
Hmm.
I feel like, me personally, I feel like, black people are owed reparations. And, with that mindset on your mind, you know, if you're a man and you're lonely and you come across somebody beautiful, no matter what color, are you gonna love them? But at the same time, in the back of your head, you're thinking to yourself, "Wait, hold on, I got these thoughts in my head, because of history. So it's like, you bring it to the forefront of the relationship, and you got that thoughts in your head. You kind of like, am I right for doing this? I mean, you question
I
yourself.
hear you. I hear you. You know, there are other countries out there that have given reparations already. And they did that within the last, I believe, don't quote me on this. It was not too long ago, I have to say. I don't remember what year, but I know that there are other countries besides the United States that did give out reparations because they did feel like as if, they needed to stick with the word that they had given or the ancestors had given. And they did it. And thank goodness they did. But the United States is always going to be behind on the game. Um, Slavery wasn't abolished in Mississippi until 2006. Go figure.
Oh wow.
So, yeah. So, I mean, we're behind the game for a while. So, tell me about this book, Embarrassed to Be with Amy. What is that like for you? And you said you drew from some experiences that you had.
Well, what it's like for me, it's hilarious. And now I'm gonna say when I was younger, I dated a white female, and of course, when I see my own race, they look at me kind of like, they're not saying nothing, but you can see it in their face, like, what are you doing with you know what I'm saying? And it's like you can read somebody's mind because you look at them with eye contact, you feel it, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I drew it for. That's the experience, and I just that experience never left me. And then of course you go on social media and you hear people's comments on TikTok and all this stuff about interracial dating, so it kind of has something to do with it also.
Mm. I mean, I personally just think that you can love who you want to love. I have never been that kind of person that, stay within your own race. I mean, if you're gonna do that, then stay within the human race. Some people went out and doing all that other stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right? But it's like stay within the human race. But a lot of people have built up anger and hatred towards another race because of what had happened in the past. In this book, you find it funny, but it does touch on
Oh yeah.
some real situations.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the main real situations that you find yourself talking about in this book.
Main situations. Mm, it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint situation because it's a lot of comedy in there, but every once, well, not every once, or a lot, it touches on beliefs, as far as holidays and opinions on certain people or stereotypes.
Hmm.
Basically, real life, like what's going on now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wow.
I just basically put the real out there and kind of try to make it funny to make people at least want to read it. Because if I just come out there and say they need to do this or they should do that or this is how it should be, nobody's going to listen to that.
No, no, they're not. I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, you can't really force anyone to, be that kind of a person where they're just going to change on the drop of a dime. It just doesn't happen that way. Your message in this book, is it truly something that, even though there's comedy behind it, is your message real within itself?
Oh yeah, it is. You know, as far as my personal beliefs, like I said, I believe reparations is on to black people, and I somewhat kind of agree with. I don't know if you heard of Umar Johnson.
Hmm.
I kind of somewhat agree with him as far as maybe black men should stay and date their race just for the simple fact that so many black women. And at the same time, I know that you should be able to love, want to love. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you got to look at that race of people situation and what's going on. There's nothing wrong with you know sticking to your race for the betterment of your race. You get what I'm saying? And at the same time,
Hmm. I got you.
but there's nothing wrong also with dating outside your race. You know what I mean? You got to kind of walk that line. You know what I mean?
I do. But I mean, at the same time, do you really have control with who you fall in love with? But I mean, I don't know if you can have control. There's a certain amount of control. But then just imagine falling in love with someone outside of your race, knowing that you wanted to fall in love with someone inside your race, but imagine dwindling away because you
That,
can't love this person. How would that make you feel?
that's another reason why I wrote the book because Malik character he's trying to find him a black woman and it's just not happening for him. And here comes this beautiful white woman who wants to be with him. So it's like he has a dilemma in his head. He can try to stick to his race and keep, what I'm saying, feeling miserable all the time. Or
Yeah,
he could give us this chick who he know who is attracted to him and ignore race and be with somebody and have love. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's actually kind of, relates to me a little bit. I'm not with nobody, but I will say, as a black dude, it's hard to find a black female. And especially if you're not financially stable. I don't want to put that out there as a stereotype, but it's just I don't know. But yeah, it's come from the heart when I wrote that book. Really though, that's why I kind of wrote it.
I hear you. I understand. I understand. Well, John, I'm not one to tell you what to do with your life, and but writing that book really does bring to light the situation. And I always say, you don't want to regret the decisions that you made because of everyone else's pressure for you to make it, if that makes sense.
That's exactly right. Because Malik is dealing with pressure. He's dealing with pressure to be righteous. For his cause, for his people. But at the same time, behind closed doors, his love life is abandoned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when the opportunity comes and it's somebody that you feel good about, but you let pressure get to him, it causes a conflict within his head. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think, I think in real life, I think a lot of interracial couples deal with that. They love each other at the same time. Those outside pressures, it affects them,
It,
especially biracial kids. Those pressures affect them.
hmm
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
know. I have two of them.
yeah.
And
So
then my son has three of them. So, but You have to live your life the
Yeah,
way you want to live your life. And I think that this book that you've written is really, really relevant. I mean, not only because of your parallel in your real life to this character, but also to a lot of people and their parallel. And females might have the same issue, with dating inside their race. And what about white men and them having to date inside their race? I think that the parallels are very big and the pressures are pretty much the same. I mean, am I
yeah.
wrong?
No, it's not. It actually, covers that basis for all types of people, male and female, both sides of the race. I just happened to pick that characters and those characters, but yeah, I actually wrote it for interracial couples and interracial children. That's who I basically wrote it for. To let them know, it's okay to be who you are because if God didn't want you to be here, you wouldn't be here. So obviously, you're meant to be here. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's
So,
right. Well, I do so hope that you find love, regardless. To me, love is something that's all inclusive and it forgives. And if you're able to forgive, then you're able to love. It is what it is. And you have to make your own decisions in life, just like Malik. Malik has to make his own decisions. And if you are on that parallel where, you feel that pressure, John, what say you about this pressure and how are you dealing with this? And how would you suggest your book to people in a real life situation like this?
yeah, I would. And to be honest with you, I get tired of being lonely. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody comes along and she happens to be a white female, she loves me. I ain't having second thoughts. I'm going because you know I ain't getting any younger. So it's like I'm not gonna let outside influences influence me to be miserable because that's what it ultimately leads up to. You're gonna be miserable.
Exactly. Exactly. And sometimes you just have to take the plunge and love. And whoever doesn't love your decision, oh well.
It's like they don't love your decision, but they don't want to be with you or love you either. So it's like they want you to be miserable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, you can't do that. You
Exactly.
can't be that. You have to love and be happy in your life. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I love this book. Absolutely love what you've done. You've opened up a situation that a lot of people don't even want to talk about, but you did. And you did it in such a clever way. And it's such a parallel and it's so big because, like I said, my children are mixed. My husband is a black Cuban, but he's still Cuban. It's still outside of the race. It's still I'm black. I'm black. He black, Spanish, Spaniard, Moorish, black. So to me that's still different. And people and people in that kind of uh what is it, the Cubans, a lot of Cubans don't like you to date outside Cuban, regardless of whether you're black Cuban or white Cuban. You're not Cuban. Don't date outside of Cuban. Oh, that was a big deal in my family. That was a very big deal in his family. Some of his family still doesn't talk to him today because he married me. Are
Wow.
you willing to go down that route? And I told him, I said, you don't have to marry me. You don't have to leave your family because of me. And he says, well, if they don't love you, then they were never my family. That's a big decision that you have to make. Are you willing to make it for love? Are you willing to make it for righteousness' sake? In your own eyes, is what is righteousness? What is being right? What is being loved? What is that? You have to see that for yourself. And I think this book, even though it is funny, it does touch on some big subjects, and I appreciate it so much.
Oh yeah, I had to do it that way because if I wrote a documentary on stuff like that, nobody's gonna take the time to wonder. You
No,
gotta
they're not.
you gotta kind of lighten people's hearts on subjects like that, and that's why I chose to wrote it like that, just for that reason to get people to at least hear and kind of have a lighthearted heart while reading it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them
Hmm.
to feel defensive while reading it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. I do. I do. I want to thank you, John, so much for being on the show. I appreciate you. What kind of advice do you give to writers and authors who want to go down that kind of controversial road, but not really go down that controversial road.
Well, what I would say is, if you feel it in your mind, your heart to read it, I mean, to write it, you need to go ahead and do it. There might be God trying to get you to put a message out there for people. So you don't want to ignore him. So
No. No, you don't. Thank you so much, John, for being on the show. I appreciate it. You guys, we're going to have that book, Embarrassed to Be with Amy. Are you embarrassed to be with Amy? Seriously? Maybe you need to be reading this book. You go ahead and go to that QR code right there in the corner or the link in the description box below and check it out for yourselves. And maybe John can help you today. John, you've helped me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for watching.